You know, I just think it's stupid how much everybody cares. Why do we find it so important to talk about all of the things that we do when in reality none of what you say is going to reach the world. None of what we talk about is going to change much of it. So why must we talk so much? I don't think there's value to it. I don't think there's any value to hearing from so many people that have seemingly no effect on the world. We know what powers control the things that we do. It's right in front of us, okay? If you're not convicted about it the way I am, let's talk about it. You need to understand that you're not going to figure out how the world works, okay? All of your talking, all of your friends, all of your people basically surmises to a thought. But a thought doesn't have action. Action comes from the big players, the people who can clearly, deliberately tell you why the world works the way that it does, right? We can only stand to listen to the people that have figured it out, because otherwise you're lost, okay? Otherwise, you're completely lost in this world. You are to be abused. You are to be thrown into the rat race, and seen as a rat if you are not able to embolden this conviction. We need to understand how powerful we are and how much we need to hold on to that. Okay, everybody, we need to understand how much all this talking, this useless talking and yapping, instead of just focusing on the notes that we've written down and moving forward with the perspective that we're gonna be okay, okay, and everything's gonna be okay. Everybody, all of our people are going to be okay, right? And that's what we mostly need to realize, is that it's pointless to keep talking. I don't think it's pointless to make progress, though. You know what? I think there's a lot of point to progress, and I think people that want to hold back progress because they're blind. They don't see the perfection, right? They don't see how good this system is. They don't see the greatness that comes from it, and therefore we really have to ask ourselves, why do we listen to those people? So many people talking. We need to make sure we're talking and listening to the right people, okay? And which means you need to be very careful with how you navigate. If you are not able to see the big picture, if you're not informed enough, should you be speaking on the matter? Should you be adding your contributions to a matter that you'll not understand? And to understand it, of course, you need to be in the system. You need to do and exercise the things that work, okay? Because otherwise you're not going to fit in. It's not going to work, okay? I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to work out. All this entropy, all this wasted space. It's like, just because there's a million grains of sand, it doesn't mean any of those are gold. Okay, so I just say, why do you keep talking? Like, why do you keep perpetuating the thoughts? You need to understand how many people are trying to yap about the same thing and they get nowhere. They're all trying to talk about this same narrative, the same idea that there's some interconnectedness between the world. The idea that they're maybe not this karmic interface, but this idea that, maybe the individual can power up, can incite some sort of overstory, but it's bullshit. It's bullshit. That we know the way that the world operates. We know that it's dictated by the people with the power, the people with the convicted ideas, the ability to predict, right? Because why would we choose someone who can't guarantee the success of our close family members and friends, right? And you ask yourself that. I really care about those people, those close family members and friends, and for me to decide what I'm going to do in this world, I have to decide what convictions I want to cling on to, what convictions you want to cling on to, and we have to recognize that there's a danger in listening to all of these minds, all of these voices, and there's this clear, terrifying sense of no control, right? That comes out of this behavior. And that's why we need to understand why it's so important to keep listening to who you want to listen to. It's important to keep doing what you think is the best, because if you don't do that, you lose all semblance of control. You become a floating mass. But if you dig into what you know to be good, the convictions, the people in the lead, the people that know how to control, if you're not listening to them, you're losing. You're muted in this world. And so it's only obvious that you should stop talking, stop berating, stop trying to influence this world. Because who are you, right? What are you going to do? You need to start listening to the leaders and understand that there's a reason that they're successful. It's obvious. They worked hard and they got to great places. They did more than you. They did everything under the sun to be more of a productive citizen, which means you need to listen to them. You need to believe what they say, and you need to recognize when you simply need to fall in line. You need to keep your head down, and you need to, operate as you will. We fail to recognize how important that conviction is, and how, as we are coming of age, as we are coming to, you need to throw away your inhibitions, right? You need to cast aside your thoughts of another way, because it's not happening, right? It's not happening. Okay, so what we need to understand is that people don't know what they want. We know what we want. We've seen it. We've seen the successful engine of industry, the successful engine of creativity and prowess, which builds these pillars of success around our world. And so it's only obvious that we need listen to those successful people, because, as we know, we need to predict the world, and the best way to predict is to check out what's been done well so far. So let's listen to the strongest, most powerful, and richest people of our world with conviction, because we understand deep down inside our own conviction that they're there because they earned it, and they're there because they know what's right for you. They're up in the high places and they know better. People capable of just figuring out these problems. And you need to understand that you might not see any of the details, you might not see any of the proof, but it's there. And you need to trust that it's there because they're capable. They are producing the world that you live upon. So you got to ask yourself, why are you running around? Why are you yelling so much? Why are you dissenting like such a weirdo, right? It's like, there's no reason to do that. You don't need to try to fight the power. It's this existing beast, and just feed the beast, and you won't have a problem. You'll have prosperity, your family will flourish, and greater times will come. There's this accumulation of just wealth and prosperity that we are so privileged to have access to. And this convicted, intelligent minds that we look up to, these people that know how the world works. They know how the world works. And we need to believe them, because they have people in high places that are smarter, that can do more, that are different from the people that you're surrounded with. They're more privileged. They have these powers, these convictions, the ability to predict what's good, because they've seen in recent history what that good is. We need to listen to these people because they're right. They know how the world works. We need them because they're there. I'm not going to berate and go on to this bullshit. Hopefully you can see what sort of weird narrative I'm trying to bring up. Where someone builds trust, okay? I'm simply trying to understand that. It's like, no matter who you're talking to, I'm not talking about the brightest, most, sharp people that you're trying to talk to. When I'm talking to my average American people, these are the dictating thoughts. These are the overstory. These are the terrifying tenets which lock people into a belief. The conviction people, the not knowing that you're being invariable when you are. not knowing that you're being too adaptive when you are. The Fool's Game, everyone. It's April 1st. It's a new time, a new place. It's not New Year's anymore. We've grown, and we've recognized that the way that we communicate is not attractive. The way that we want to bring up the fact that fools love fools, the fact that I'm a fool and I fall for fools, but I see the pain of the fool's game. And it's not easy to communicate. When you're in a small scope, when you're in a controlled setting, you have a closed feedback system, you can work harder to back propagate, like I say in other videos, that you can work harder to say, oh, this is what I believe. But when you're making quick decisions, when you're working with the average American, when you're working with the overstory about what convictions we should have, your rationale falls apart in ways that make you vulnerable, in ways that make you bark the person's story that you've last heard, not the ideas that actually circulate your mind. There's a huge value in keeping this in the dark. There's a huge value in allowing puppets of this world, sort of like I alluded to, these powerful people which evoke behavioral changes, that evoke new stories, that make people feel high. Okay, like, you can change the world, but I swear to God, it's not this closed loop logical system that we so wish that it is. I think there are people that hold an unfounded conviction, and about how they rationalize things, about how they let information into their mind, and I want to identify it. I want to shine some light. I want to basically just be the asshole that tells you, hey, your friend has been tricking you. Be the asshole that tells you it's an April Fool's joke. Be the asshole that tells you, hey, you got, but it's a battle, not the war. A perfect way to toe the line of adaptability and invariability, an awareness for your decisions, and sort of an accumulation of sharing resource. And abundance is dysregulation. Abundance causes pain to humans. Humans love constraints. They love dipping in the waves of excitement, of happiness, of love, of pain, of guilt. All of these things, we don't love dysregulation. We love sort of tiny change. And as the sun comes out, so too will our good vibes about how the world can operate. So don't be a fool. Just don't let yourself be made a fool. Feel free to be a fool on your own time, but don't be made a fool. Don't be made a fool.